Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee here on this Thursday, and we've already had a couple of surges of rain move on through, and we've got some more that we're going to have to deal with. The flood watches are up. We've got coastal flood advisories up, and if you look at the wind field here, you can probably pick out there's some sort of low center. Some sort of little low is sitting in here, and the reason why is you've got these south winds here. And then you've got these north wind, winds going northwest on this side, or north and northeast on that side. So it looks like there's some kind of weak circulation there. And I'm not sure, that must be some kind of mistake where they have a 65 knot wind, Barb reported. I'm not sure what is that. I'm trying to read the town. It looks like it's near Newcastle, Delaware, but that must be an error. In the meantime, as we look further north, we've got this, southeast flow that's coming in for much of the coastal areas. So that's the winds along the New Jersey shore have not really picked up very much, at least not yet. So I thought they would have been a little gustier this morning, but they have not yet turned out to be. As far as this area, Long Island, is concerned, we're getting some 25 to 30 knot winds now. Winds are starting to pick up just a little bit. I think the peak winds will probably be into early afternoon. Some gusts to 40 miles an hour, nothing too crazy in my view. And we look out to the west, you've got these bands of rain on the radar. And there's also some winter weather advisories in the areas that are shaded in the light blue. Where there'll probably be some wet snow in the mix. This is not going to, I really don't think this is going to be any huge deal in areas that see some snow. Again, that'll be elevation driven anyway. Look at these ridiculous temperatures are all in the 50s anyhow. So it may not wind up being an issue. Now, we do have severe weather issues today. So I just want to show you with respect to the risk from the Storm Prediction Center. It hasn't really changed too much from the last 2 days. They have a marginal risk to central New Jersey and a slight risk to southern New Jersey, covering Maryland, Delaware, the Delmarva Peninsula, and an enhanced risk in much of southeastern Virginia and into northeastern North Carolina. And as far as tornado probability, there's a 5% risk in the area that's shown from Delaware down into North Carolina. So this is not as strong a setup as you had a couple of days ago when we had that high risk, obviously. And the probability of damaging winds of 50 knots or higher is 30%. You can see that's that area highlighted in red. And also the chance of hail running at 15% in the area of enhanced. So it all sort of makes sense here as we move forward. Now we'll look at the satellite, which is just going into just passing sunrise. That's what that arm is that sweeps across. You start to see the pictures go to visible from the overnight infrared, although it seems to be some kind of problem going on in the last couple of frames because it kind of jumps to visible and then, oh, I see. Okay, so it goes to visible as far as it goes. It's just looping pretty quick. And here's your storm, your upper air storm, very well defined on the satellite here. This large swirl. You can see the blowing up of clouds running up northward as these surges of moisture move up from the south. It's kind of like watching a pinwheel rotate, and you're not sure who's going to get into the stronger spokes. Out in the west, we have a storm that's come into the northwest and a lot of moisture that's drawing up from California, south of California, right through the central and northern part of the state, on up through the Pacific Northwest. There's a pretty strong Pacific jet here that just has been feeding in the moisture, so looks like they're getting into a pretty decent storm along the west coast. So we'll look at that in a sec too. Now here's the radar. One of the problems when you get these sort of pinwheel, it's kind of like a pinwheel, like bicycle spokes going around. So the first spoke came around last night, and actually models kind of overdid some of the rain with this. There wasn't all that much that fell west of the coastline. There was a pretty decent shot of rain over Long Island and now into southern New England and onto upstate New York. So now we've got this gap, and this next area is now blossoming out across the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area and moving into southeastern Pennsylvania. And this is forecast, and also you have some showers and storms off the Carolinas that are lifting northeast. So all of this, I think, is going to blossom out in the next hour or two and sweep on through. And there might be one more spoke coming through late this afternoon into this evening to watch out for. So I'll show you on the HRRR model how this plays out today here in the east, and then we're going to go look out, see what's going on in the west. So first of all, you know what? Let me just make sure I have the absolute latest one, and then we can go forward from there. And we have the 13Z. Oh, it just started. Okay, so we really don't have it far enough, so we'll use the the 8 o'clock sequence. Okay, so rolling back again, this is a ultra short range model, so it only goes out 18 hours. But this is roughly right now as we look at what those areas, they kind of match up pretty well with the radar, and you can see what happens. This is at noon, then at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and then that area moves out, and you get this little break. And now we have this, here's the low center in southeastern Pennsylvania that lifts up almost into northern New Jersey. And with that, there is one last arm. This brings some very heavy rain up into a northeastern part of quarter of Pennsylvania and on up into western New York. I mean, that really lifts up all the way up into up toward Lake Ontario, up towards Syracuse, and then to Pulaski, Watertown, up in that part of New York State, and that's going to be problematic. The rains up there, from what I've been reading, have been substantial, and there'll probably be some serious river flooding with this in that area. And in fact, by the way, there's probably going to be a lot of river flooding when this is done in terms of the total rainfall amounts. It's amazing how we've gone from one extreme to the other, because last year we were sort of these rivers were begging for rain and the water levels were very low, and now they've come back and they're going to continue to rise over the next few days as all this water runs off. So that storm, by the way, winds up going up east of Lake Ontario. It's fairly deep for this time of year. A 979 millibar pressure is nothing to sneeze at with regards to pressures at any time of year. But when, you know, this part of April, you don't often see lows that deep. This is a pretty intense little storm that we're dealing with. So let's move along here, and I want to just take a look at this from the bigger perspective. Here's that storm out in the west coming in. You got a deep storm off the west coast, a deep storm in the east, and not too much going on in the middle. And as we go forward, the next event will be the fact that this pattern of frequent storm events is breaking down. We're going to get into a warm southwest flow into early next week, so I think we're going to see 70s Monday, Tuesday, and possibly even into Wednesday. It's going to depend on this next weather front and when it comes through. Models have been kind of speeding it up a little bit, so I would say based on this model run that we will not see 70s next Wednesday, but that could change. Sometimes the models can be in a rush, but certainly Monday and Tuesday and even Sunday, temperatures will be getting well up into the 60s. Out in the west, after this major storm that's coming in now, you can take a look at it here. Just on the edge of the screen, there's a 975 millibar low there that comes in, and then after that, just there's a couple of weaker systems that play through with some occasional rounds of rain and snow. Particularly as we head toward the latter part of next week, there appears to be some kind of low coming off the coast of California. So still more activity in the west. In the east, really doesn't look to be too much. Weather systems are a little bit on the weak side, judging from this. We don't have any big storms. With the last 4 systems in a row, that pattern of a storm every 2 days seems to be breaking down for the time being. Let me just go back. I want to look at the rainfall totals. We're going to use the NAM model. There's rainfall totals out of this are going to be substantial in a lot of places. But, you know, there's also going to be a lot of variability, which is often very frustrating to deal with because it's hard to forecast, particularly if one model has heavy rain in one spot and another model has heavy rain in a totally different spot. So we'll look at the overnight. And the overnight NAM now, all of a sudden got less bullish with the rainfalls down here on the order of 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and grew more bullish with rainfalls up in western New York and through parts of northern New York, actually toward the St. Lawrence Valley. That's where the biggest rains are because of how the low tracks. That was the NAM 12. The NAM 3, on the other hand, there we go. The NAM 3 still wanted to make some heavy rains, and convectively, this kind of makes sense to me. I wouldn't be surprised if you've got amounts in some places be a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and in other places it'll be 2 inches plus, depending on whether there's a thunderstorm or not. And up in upstate New York, you see some 1, 2 inch plus amounts hugging the St. Lawrence Seaway, the St. Lawrence Valley, and then along Lake Ontario, kind of blotchy here. Actually, if you watch how the stripes play out, it's a sign of that. You can almost see how the stripes play out here in terms of the max precip. They kind of go like this, okay, and that's where your low center is. So it's pretty interesting that the banding that the model is showing up here. The upper air, and then we'll call it a day. We got to go to the global model, so we'll go to the GFS. And here's the North America view, and we'll put up the upper air for you. There we go. So here's our upper air storm. This is for this evening. This is for what the upper air is supposed to look like coming up tonight, with a deep trough in the west. You get this off the west coast. You have this trough here in the east. Ridge that runs up through the plains. Another one that's off the east coast, and this active Pacific jet that continues to. But we're going to start to see this relax a little bit. Now, what happens is, and this makes complete sense, you're going to have this ridge pop up in the east and the troughing shift out in the western part of the United States. So that's going to allow for a warm up here in the eastern U.S. probably starting on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday will be the 2 warm days until the next weather front moves on through, and you get that little weak trough, that brings down that cooler air. Here's the storminess off the west coast. The upper air pattern continues to take a look that is more and more like you would see during this time. The jet stream begins to retreat northward and weaken to a large degree, but it's still pretty active. And going forward, when we look at this, it seems to me like we're going into something that wants to favor deep troughs in the west, which probably will mean more chances for rain there. And it looks like there's a tendency for ridging here in the east. So I'm going to suggest that the second half of the month is certainly going to be warmer than the first half, and we'll probably have on average above normal temperatures for the eastern part of the United States, with the cooler than normal temperatures out in the west, because it appears to me like the trough positions are shifting now. We have been in a cold, stormy pattern in the eastern U.S. for the last month, but that is going to change. And those of you who have been looking forward to some nice springtime weather, I think you're going to get your opportunities for a few stretches. It's very odd this time of year to get more than a day or two in a row of nice weather. There's just too much going on in the atmosphere. You've got too much warming, still a lot of cold air that wants to play itself out, a very cold ocean. The land is heating very, very fast. So you've got a lot of volatility. It's hard to get into a pattern that's going to hold you into sunshine for more than 2 or 3 days or so. But hey, we got to set up for dry weather beginning on Saturday for the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic states, and lasting at least into Tuesday or early Wednesday of next week. Posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com, Angry Ben on nycweathernow.com, so you do be sure to check him out. And thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you are new to my YouTube channel and you've lasted this long, I'm thinking you like my video. So please please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just hit the little red subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and you'll get notified every time a new video comes up, which is almost always at least once a day, sometimes a little bit more. When I have the opportunity. All right, everybody have a great day. Stay safe and travel slowly on roadways with heavy rains falling. We'll have them here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states through the afternoon and into this evening. So please be careful.